Hello, happy Sunday. I'm not coming on here thinking that many of you will join me live, but I am recording this as a podcast as well. So I really hope that you find this useful, because what I am doing is I'm taking your wins, your questions, your challenges from the 5 day reset, and I'm going to give you group feedback just like I will be doing on or in the at-home community. So I thought this was a great way of everyone taking one more day's worth of learning, and yeah, we can close this off together. I've actually got 3 viewers on Facebook. I know you can't see that if you're listening on the podcast, but let me know who's here so that I can say hello to you. I'm very pleased. Also, again, for those of you watching, this will be the first live that you've seen me this week with makeup on. You're welcome. Anyway, I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. Let's get straight on with all of the things that you said back to me in the reset. And it's not morning. Hi, Emma. All of the things that you said to me in the reset in your check-in forms, and share some of all of these wins and these challenges and stuff. So thank you so much to everyone that did complete a check-in form. They are really useful for you to review how the last 5 days have helped you and what some of the challenges are ahead. They're also really useful for me because I run these resets roughly every 3 months or so. And as a couple of you acknowledged in kind of your comments, they are a lot of work. It is a lot that I put into it because I want to help people, and I'm really, really so pleased that you have found it useful. So the feedback is really useful. I'll take it all on board. Some of it just isn't possible for me to implement, I'm afraid, but it's all very gratefully received anyway. So let's start with these wins, how everyone has been getting on this week, and what you've achieved, I guess. So we've got drinking more water, protein with every meal, more fruit and veg, from Natalie. Sarah said successfully making better choices with my foods, completing your planned workouts for the week and even adding to them, so well done. Sam said that it's got her back on track to her before Christmas habits, which is brilliant. Well done, Sam. Julie said, I need to take time out for me. I've taken a little bit of time each day since Wednesday, and just now told my hubby I was finishing off this morning's podcast, so he needs to wait until I finished it. And he survived. Well done, Mr. Duckworth, and well done, Julie, for sticking to that. Hannah said that the biggest win for her has been mindset, and that is amazing because lots of people come to me and the first thing they say is, I just want to lose weight, and it's such an underrated and under thought of aspect of this process, which I said on the intro and on day one. That's why day one is mindset. That mindset is a massive part of what I do. I would say it's about 90% of what I do with all of my clients, and what I will be doing with all of the ladies that are joining the at-home community, because as I said then, implementing a calorie deficit, anyone can do it. Now, whether or not you do it healthily is another matter, but anyone can do that. It's then just maintaining it consistently and also maintaining those habits around your busy life. So I'm really pleased that Hannah said mindset, and she's been inspired to join the at-home community and have the mindset to really take action without listening to the excuses. I love that. Well done. Claire, who's also joined the at-home community, getting the steps in and changing her mindset, which is amazing. Well done, Claire. Really, really blooming proud of you. Laura said, thinking about my future self to help keep me on track. I love that, Laura. again, you know, that is that mindset shift, moving away from, well, what's the instant gratification, what's the progress going to be when I weigh in a week's time, and we're really thinking about our future selves, which is super duper helpful. Really proud of you for doing that and starting to get more movement into your daily routine. And I know specifically for you, Laura, that can be really challenging. Lottie said it's helped me get focused back on daily habits after Christmas and implementing those small changes in my life which help towards my goals. Amazing, Lottie, well done. Lottie's one of my long-term clients in the Last Diet Club, and Lottie's got a young baby, Lenny, and so, you know, while these habits are challenging for all of us, you know, having a baby as well, adding that complication in is really challenging. Emma has said back to more water, more fruit, step tracking, and they are all huge for you this week, Emma, because you were so poorly during this reset. So well done. I'm really, really proud of you, and you're joining or have joined the at-home community as well. So I can't wait to help you with all of these going forward. And then Kate has said, I love this. So last night, instead of eating crisps before dinner, I roasted 2 heads of broccoli and my husband and I ate them with hot sauce. Emma, that sounds like a you snack. And it was delicious, spicy and crunchy. We realised that a head of broccoli is about the same amount of money as a big bag of crisps, and that we all love broccoli. And the next time we go to the shop, we're going to buy 4 times the amount. I love that. And I noted one of your challenges going forward. I don't know if you've got an air fryer. If you've got an air fryer, that makes roasting the broccoli even quicker. If you haven't got an air fryer, you can get them really, really reasonably on Amazon. I was looking for one of my other clients the other day, who's moving for her job, and so she needs to take a few little bits with her, and so we were all looking to find her. She won't have much kitchen space, so we were looking to find her air fryers, and you can get great air fryers that aren't very expensive. I'm just looking at the comments on Facebook. Yes, air fried broccoli is life, says Emma. I knew she would like that. And hi, Emma King. Welcome. So other steps forward that Kate has made. Otherwise, I've made progress on feeling better and sleeping better. That's amazing. So one of our big focuses was on how we feel much better as well, and obviously if we're sleeping better, that is so important as well. And she also loved the live morning workout. Moving forward, she wants to commit to 2 weight sessions a week. And on Thursday night, she didn't finish her plate because she was full. Why can't I see the bottom of your comments? There we go. Because you were full, and it was pork and veggie stir fry with a small amount of rice. Brilliant. That's amazing. For the, you know, like for finishing your plate, because so many of us have it ingrained, don't we? Must finish my plate of food, you know. A lot of the time our parents said that to us when we were younger. But if you're full, it's not wasting it. It was wasted when you already bought too much, and that sounds really harsh, but one of the things I always say to all my clients is, you are not a bin. Okay, brilliant. So that is all of the wins that I got. Love it. Well done, ladies. As I said, I'm so proud of all of you. You've been amazing. Thank you to those of you that checked in, and thank you for those of you that stuck around. So let's go through with the challenges and some of the questions, well, all of the questions. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to say who these challenges have come from, because I want to keep that confidential. But I've made some notes as well, as you know I like to do. So challenge with exercise, particularly when there's injuries. So one of the things I always want you to think about is consider what you can do, okay? Remember that for fat loss, nutrition is your number 1 priority, okay? Yes, movement is important, especially your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And I know we didn't go through that on the reset. but your general movement is really important for this particular person. I know general movement is one of the things that is really challenging at the moment because of her injury, but think about this. This is a temporary, in the moment problem. This is a right now for the next couple of months problem, and what we're talking about is making changes long term. So okay, this is an issue for now, but going forward you can build on the movement that you're doing, but think about what you can do. So if you can only walk for 5 to 10 minutes at a time at the moment, how can you get 2 or 3 5 to 10 minute walks in? And that might not be walks outside. Could it just be walks around the house? Can you be making sure you're doing some weight sessions so that you are at least moving your body? Okay, so think about what you can do rather than what you can't. And I know that this person was using that and has put what excuses have they made for themselves. Exercise as the excuse, not being able to do it because of the injury. So just remember that this is a we're talking about long-term habit change, long-term solutions. This is a right now issue. This is not forever, okay? The other challenge this person had was food portions. Now, this is where tracking, or at least noting down what you're eating, really helps. So one of the things I try to get all of my clients to do, even if it's just for a couple of weeks, is some sort of tracking. That doesn't have to be on an app. That can be on just in a notebook. It can be taking pictures, but really making sure that you are noting down what you're having. Research shows that the act of writing down what you've eaten every time you eat really triggers your brain into thinking, do I need this next thing? Do I need this next thing? So and this person is joining home. We can definitely work on food portions as well, so that's great. Another challenge or question this was actually, so how can you be in a calorie deficit without experiencing hunger? So protein is absolutely vital here, and having a portion of protein in every single meal is an absolute non-negotiable, and making sure that your portions of protein are bigger. So one of the things I say to all of my clients, if I see on their food diaries in the Last Diet Club or with my one-to-one clients, if I see in their food diaries that they've eaten a 250 calorie breakfast, a 300 calorie lunch, and maybe a 400 calorie dinner, and then they've got 800 calories worth of snacks, I want this flipped around. I want you making your main meals bigger and fuller of protein, and I'd rather you cut down your snacks. So protein is vital. Secondly, fruit and veg add volume to your plate. So I love a big plate of food. I like the feeling of feeling full, not overly full, but I like to feel full. And so, whilst I talk about fruit and veg as being massively important for your health, they're also really important for your satiety levels, for keeping you fuller for longer, for relatively low carb for most fruit and veg. So obviously something like an avocado is quite high in calories, but the nutrient population of that, the nutrient profile of that, I had to think about that, is really high. It's got lots of fibre and it's got lots of really good fats in it. But on the whole, most fruit and veg is low calorie, high volume, high satiety, and high nutrients. Okay, so again, this is something that we will work on in the at-home program. Okay, another challenge from another lady here is the sugar intake. I know a couple of you really cut down on your sugar intake for the last 5 days. One thing I just wanted to bring up, because I don't think we talked about it in the 5 days, but thinking about what your reliance or where your reliance on sugar comes from. The most common reliance on sugar comes from tiredness. It comes from emotional eating and comfort, or as a way of distracting or procrastinating, or lastly rewarding, which is where often the eating sugar, so biscuits, chocolate, things like that, at the end of the day, that's your reward for making it through the day. And this is one of the reasons why I come at weight loss, health and fitness from a point of view of self-care, because when you are not putting any time or energy into filling up your cup in other ways, you feel the need to reward yourself through food. Okay. And so I'm not saying that this is what this person is doing. I'm saying that it's one of the things to consider. So are you eating sugar through the day? Like the 3 p.m. dip is that's the most common, right? Oh, it's 3 p.m. I need a cup of tea and a chocolate bar. Or the evening thing is about rewarding yourself for getting through the day. The thing that happens with sugar as well is we get this dopamine spike and this energy spike when we eat it. Okay, and then we follow this crash. What follows is a crash, not just in blood sugar levels, but in dopamine, in feel good. Okay, so then you need to give yourself more to go back up again, which is why emotional eating is so popular. If you think about the kind of, how we've all been brought up, you fall over, you graze your knee, there, don't cry, here, have a biscuit. We're given food as a way of distracting us from something that is happening that is bad from a very young age. And some emotional eating is really natural, but if it's something that is consistently happening, on a daily or a regular basis every week, then it's not healthy. It's not good for you. So I would say that there's a few things there that we'll work on in the home program for this lady that will really help around the sugar. Eating enough fruit and veg was another challenge for someone. So I'd really like you to break this down on how you can add it in. Okay, now there could be a couple of reasons why people aren't getting in enough fruit and veg. You're just not used to doing it. You don't like a lot of it. Or you find it just, maybe your food choices aren't something that go with fruit and veg. So, toast and jam for breakfast, you just eat the toast and jam. You might not necessarily think to add some fruit and veg to that. Or a sandwich for lunch might have a bit of lettuce and cucumber in it. Notice I didn't say tomato, because unless the sandwich is freshly made, tomato can't go in a sandwich because it makes the bread soggy. That's just my little thing with tomatoes and bread. So, it might just be that you're not having meals that necessarily have lots of fruit and veg in them, and that's fine. But how can you have those? How can you add them in? So one of the things I always try to do is 1 piece of fruit and veg with my breakfast, 2 for lunch, 2 for dinner. Or if I only have 1 for lunch, say I have a wrap and I only maybe put a handful or 2 of salad in, and I'm only counting that as 1 piece of veg, then I'll snack on some fruit a bit later on. So 1 for lunch, 1 for breakfast, 2 for lunch, 2 for dinner. So how can you add it in? If there's lots of fruit and veg you don't like, then think about either how can you eat more of the ones that you do, or how are there other ways of adding it in? So how are there other ways of cooking it? For example, I've just talked about Kate's example of roasted broccoli, and mine and Emma's love of air fried broccoli. So that doesn't have to be soggy, wet, overboiled broccoli. That's a way of adding interest and spices and things to broccoli. And I know Laura's asked in the Facebook group here, what spices do you add to the broccoli? It really depends on what spices you want and what flavour you want to go after. So if you want something that's a bit more Moroccan, you could add cumin, you could add paprika, there's a spice mix called Ras El Hanout, which I love. I hope I've said that right. If you want it to be more of a curry flavour, you could sprinkle on some curry powder, some chili. If you want it to be more, Mediterranean, you could add herbs like oregano, basil, mixed herbs, things like that. So absolutely, you can make this whatever you want. The other thing I found really useful for air fried broccoli, just as an aside, is the low calorie spray oils. And in Aldi, I've also seen they do an aerosol spray oil, really, really useful for air frying things like that, because to try and coat something like broccoli, you need to use quite a lot of oil. Okay, so yeah, find other ways of cooking it. If you've got fussy kids, or fussy people, I shouldn't just blame the kids, should I? If you've got fussy people in the house, one of my favourite tricks that I used when Charlie was growing up is grating. So grating veg into food. So if I made a spag bowl, I would grate things like the courgette, and the carrots in. I mean, he was fine with carrots, but he hated courgette, and the aubergine sometimes. Now I use one of those Amazon choppers. I love it. It was 20 quid, and it chops everything up really little. So when I do that, he'll eat the courgette and the aubergine. Okay, so that is great. The same person, one of the excuses that some of the excuses they were using is, I'm too fat to run, my body is not capable of fat loss, and I'm going to be this size forever. And I guess what I want to say is that is a massive mindset and belief piece. And we talked a lot about that on day one, didn't we? So now that you know, I'm going to zone in on the running piece here. Now that you know that running isn't the optimal way of you losing body fat, that means you can incorporate it in with your calorie deficit and ideally with your weight training, and then you can have this really kind of whole you approach to it, because you know that your nutrition is your main aspect to losing weight. The rest of it is about creating evidence, like we were talking about on day one, the evidence to prove yourself wrong, that these beliefs aren't true. Okay, next, lots of you were saying that you found it challenging taking time for you each day. And some of you realised that doing that, the house didn't collapse, the house didn't fall apart, no one got into any huge amounts of trouble. The thing I want to say about this is it feels really counterintuitive, but taking time for you actually will make life easier. And I know how hard that is. I know how challenging that is, and that's exactly why I do what I do, because I was the mum that didn't do that, and I got myself into all sorts of trouble because of that. I wasn't performing well at work, my relationships were rubbish in the household, I couldn't keep on top of anything because I didn't pour into myself. If we think about the life jacket analogy when we're on a plane, the cup analogy that I use often, why do they say on a plane, if the life jacket, if there's an emergency, please put your own life jacket on first? Of course, if we're on a plane with our loved ones, whether you're a mum or not, you are going to want, your instinct is going to want to be to help other people that are sitting around you that you love. But what use are you going to be to them if you aren't safe and sorted yourself? In that life jacket analogy, but also in just life in general. So again, this is about building up the evidence that taking 15 minutes here and there for you actually helps life to be easier. Okay. I know that some of you found it challenging with the children being off. I completely get this, especially if they're younger. Charlie's nearly 13 and can look after himself, but for many of you, you've got a lot younger children. Here, this is about planning and carving out the slices of time for you. Okay, and that carving out the slices of time is really one of the most important things I think I say, because it's looking at your whole day, your whole week in the big picture, not minute by minute, not hour by hour, whilst you're in the moment, and making that commitment to yourself that it might be that in order to get a little slice of time for yourself, you need to get up 15 minutes earlier. Okay, that might be what it is. Particularly if you're one of these people that gets their you time in the evening until late in the evening, and that's when you get snacky. It might be about trying to rein in your bedtime and finding a little slice of time before everyone else gets up. That's what I do every morning, even at the weekends. I want to be up and doing stuff for me before these two get up and need me to do things, because that's the only chance I'll get. Okay. But I go back to, when you're prioritizing you, everything else gets easier. The house, work, relationships, everything. Okay, what else have we got here? So some challenge. A challenge on getting in enough water as well. So again, I go back to, what can you do? How can you make this easier? So always having a refill bottle. I mean, this is a litre. You know me, if you've been around me, you know I can't talk about water without drinking. That's a 1 litre bottle. It doesn't have to be that big if you're on your feet a lot and you don't want to walk around with that big heavy thing, but make sure you've got a refillable bottle. And in fact, if you're trying to get into this habit, can you have a couple of refillable bottles? So if you commute to work, can you fill 2 smaller bottles, have one in the car and drink that on the way to work, and have one for work, and then maybe refill them back up before you leave work, so you've again got one in the car. Don't forget, you can add things like squash in there. You can add, things like mint, cucumber, fruit, if that's your thing. Your teas and coffees do count, but particularly if sleep is a problem, I would be really careful of your caffeine intake after midday, at the latest 2 p.m. I also wouldn't want you just relying on your 1 to 2 litres being in caffeinated products. I would like you to drink some plain water, or at least squash water. So those things all count. I know some of you struggle ongoing with sleep, and we're going to cover this in more detail if you choose to work with me. But the thing I will say about that, and I do have a couple of podcasts on sleep actually, so search back through my podcasts if you want to listen to those. One of them is with a sleep expert, and one of them is my own kind of sleep routine from about 1.5 years ago. Finding a routine that works for you is vital, absolutely vital. So working on that. Some more excuses: too busy at work. So again, I come back to ticking the boxes for you makes work easier. If you are fueled well, if you're moving your body, if you've got more energy, if you've slept well, if you're making sure you have your life jacket on first, ticking the boxes at work will always be easier. Okay, I loved this question. Will pirates and swimming get me a flat tummy? I think it was meant to be Pilates, which I love. Will they get me a flat tummy? Okay, so I want to come back to what you've learned this week. You will lose body fat by being in a calorie deficit. You will increase your energy expenditure by doing something like swimming, and depending on the type of Pilates it is, you will be able to build some muscle with Pilates. So reformer Pilates is probably the best, but at home kind of small equipment Pilates is great as well. My dog's now making silly noises because he's dreaming. If you enjoy those, I really want you to carry them on. But as per Friday's video and podcast, exercise is not done to burn calories. Okay, we want to increase your movement and increase your calorie expenditure, but we can do that just by getting your steps in. Actually, your exercise, your workouts, they're the things that are going to create that toned shape. So we need you to build muscle. I'm pointing at my shoulders because they're the bits that the people watching can see. So your Doing weights workouts are going to build you muscle. Losing the body fat, which comes from the calorie deficit, is what's going to show that tone through. Okay, so you need to lose some body fat on your. You may need to, because I've not seen your tummy. You may need to lose some body fat before you can see any tone on your stomach. Okay, and also, flat stomach or abs are really, really difficult to get, just so that you know. So I want you to carry on swimming and doing your pirates or Pilates, but I would also love to see you getting in some weight training, and you've joined the at-home program, so there's no excuse for you not to be able to do that now. Okay, this person said getting in more steps has been a bit of a challenge. This is the person that has a baby. The weather, and a couple of people did say, you know, they make excuses about getting steps in and exercising because of the weather. So what I want to say to you is the weather does make it harder, particularly if you've got a baby, particularly if you've got small children and you don't have a dog, because those of us that are dog owners that have, you know, medium to large dogs, we have to walk the dogs anyway. But you getting your steps in doesn't have to be outside. Okay, so there's these YouTube workouts called Fit with Rick. I think it's Fit with Rick or Steps with Rick. Let me Google it. And he does, Get Fit with Rick. He does 10, 20, 30 minute step workouts that you can do at home, right? And so a 10-minute workout with him where you are literally just marching and hopping around on the spot, a 10-minute workout will probably get you about 1,000 steps. So that's a great resource for you to use at home to get your steps up a little bit. I always readjust my steps for the winter. So in the summer, I can easily get up to 15,000 steps a day. I have a very energetic dog. In the winter, did I say that right? In the summer, I can often get up to 15,000 steps a day. In the winter, it's often much less. It's, 8 to 10,000. 10,000 is what I would like to get. If I can get 12, brilliant. But here's the thing about using the weather as an excuse. We live, most of us, some of you don't, we live in the UK where we get a lot of rain. So buy some wet weather walking gear. I don't want you to walk in dangerous weather. That's not what I'm saying, but buy some wet weather walking gear. Okay. If it's about taking the kids out, yes, I know it's a hassle, stripping them off and down, stripping them on and off with their wet weather gear, but kids love splashing in muddy puddles. Okay, Peppa Pig has made sure of that. So can we get the kids out? It's good for them, it's good for you. Okay, the weather won't kill you. Here's a bit of my no BS coaching. The weather won't kill you. Again, go back to, if it is dangerous weather, don't go out there. But in general, day to day, it won't kill you. So some of this is about parenting yourself. You know what's good for you. It doesn't have to be an hour walk in the chucking down rain. It could just be, right, I'm going to go round the block quickly and 15 minutes. I'll put a coat on, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll put my head down and I'll power through it, right? Even more reason to walk quicker. Okay, another great question. Getting in protein, particularly on a budget. Now look, everyone's budget is different, okay? We all know that food prices have gone up and that's challenging for everyone. If I look at my food bill from 2 years ago, well, maybe not 2 years ago because we were all at home 2 years ago, but 3-4 years ago, yes, everyone's food bill's gone up. I understand, but everyone's budget is different, and everyone's perception of what is cheap and what is expensive in terms of food is different. And so I'm not going to sit here and say to you, well, you should go out and buy this, because what I spend on my food bill might be different to what you spend on your food bill. My priorities, where me and my husband spend our income in this house, might be completely different to yours. Okay, so this person in particular said that the last few years they found they're eating much carb heavier food because carbs are cheaper, and that's absolutely true. But you can get you can get really good cuts of protein. I'm talking about meat here. You can get good sources of protein reasonably cheap. Now, again, I know some of you are not based in the UK that are on this reset and listening to this podcast when it goes out. So I can't, I don't speak for those other countries, and this is about you investigating. But cheaper cuts of meat tend to be things like, pork loin fillet. The boys eat that every week. I think it's about £4, and they get like 200 grams each with their dinner on a Monday night, and it's something like 40 to 50 grams of protein in that one meal. In terms of meat-free stuff as well, don't forget that you can add your meat-free stuff to boost this. So adding things like beans, pulses, lentils to your meals is a great way of boosting your protein. Now, they will also add carbs into your meal, but that doesn't matter. We're not afraid of carbs. Things like chicken thighs are normally really reasonably priced as well. Greek yogurt, eggs, and then don't forget to do things like, like what we're doing today. So I'm roasting a whole chicken for the boys, which is much cheaper. You can buy a whole chicken for the same price as a pack of chicken breasts. I'm roasting a whole chicken for the boys for dinner, and then that will do Tom 3 lunches for the rest of the week. So utilising your leftovers as well. And then the other thing is, someone was asking me about apps for tracking calories, and that they didn't get on with MyFitnessPal. That's fine. There is, I can never say this right, Chronometer, and also Nutricheck. A couple of my clients use Nutricheck. They're all very much of a muchness. Nutricheck and Chronometer do a better job of adding up your nutrients, fruit and vegetables, but I know with Nutricheck at least you have to pay for it. On the at-home community, I won't be checking your food diary, so it really doesn't matter to me where you track your food if you decide to track. So yeah, now I just wanted to read this out because I thought this was lovely. And again, I just want to point out that, I know some of you have given me feedback around the timings of the lives, the timing of the workout, and things like that. And I know that some of you found the WhatsApp group quite overwhelming, and I kind of addressed that, I think, on Thursday, didn't I, by creating the announcements tab. And I guess what I should have done at the beginning, learn for me, and this is what I've done with the at-home community as well, is say from the very beginning, you do not have to read every message. I already brought up how long people spend on their phones. You do not have to read every message. You do not have to reply to everything. That's my job. So that's the first thing with the WhatsApps. In terms of the lives and the workouts, that's the time they're set at. And again, I know it's not going to be a time that's going to suit everyone. But then pleasing everyone is always going to be difficult anyway, right? But I just wanted to read this, which I kind of alluded to at the beginning. So thank you so much for running this reset. I know, have I read this? I may have done, in which case, sorry. I know how much work goes into something like this, and yes, you're building up interest in your paid services. Absolutely, yes, I am. But at the same time, I want to help people, and I've run this for longer than 5 days for free. So if I've helped you and you haven't decided to work with me, then, and you can carry this on by yourself, then that's brilliant. Well done. And I'm really pleased that you can. Nonetheless, thank you. I like your do the best you can approach. For me personally, I only got back home on Wednesday afternoon and was able to shop on Thursday, so it's been a much shorter reset, but you're going to take the lessons forward into 2024 and beyond. And I wanted to read that out because I don't underestimate how much brain power it takes following on with this stuff for 5 days, longer than that, because it's really been 7, hasn't it? And more if any of you joined the groups before. I try to pack in a lot into a short amount of time because I want to give you as much value as possible and as much help as possible. And it can seem quite intense, and some people weren't ready for that, and that's fine. But those of you that stuck with it, that were happy enough to give the feedback and everything, I really appreciate it, and I'm so proud of everything that you've done. So well done. Those of you that have joined the at-home community, I can't wait to help you and to continue working with you. If you haven't yet joined the at-home community and you are thinking about it, then please do reach out to me if you need the link again. And if you're not going to continue working with me, that's absolutely fine. You know where I am if you need me in the future, and you can always reach out. And if you're listening to this later on a podcast and you think that working with me sounds like what you need, then come and find me. Okay, my loves, I'm going to go and get on with the rest of the things on my to-do list. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will speak to you all soon. Mwah.